to Director Whitney and our fire officials, the Phoenix Fire Crew, the Perryville Fire Crew, and everyone for joining us this morning. I was just briefed by fire and safety officials on this year's fire season. It's no secret we have had a record dry winter. This is the fourth driest start to a water year for Phoenix. At the end of January, Phoenix had only 0.44 inches of rain, and our average is 2.85 inches. So this is a different season that we're approaching. Arizona is familiar with the devastation that wildfires can bring, but there's no beating around the bush this year. We expect these conditions to make the fire season especially challenging. We expect this year's conditions to make the fire season especially challenging. I've requested in our budget that we double our investment in fire prevention funding from $1 million to $2 million. This includes funds to remove hazardous vegetation and more. We'll continue to take every step possible to prepare for this fire season to protect people, pets, and property. Now, the public can play a role in this year's fire season, and the press can play a role by communicating the expectations of this year's fire season. I want to emphasize that the majority of our fires are caused by humans in the state of Arizona. So we need everyone's help and education and to spread this information to help prevent them. I want to make sure that campfires and cigarettes, matches are out cold before you walk away from them. So much common sense plays to fire prevention in any season. I want to make sure that trailer chains don't drag, because any spark from those chains on the asphalt can cause a fire. And I can't say it strongly enough, please be extra cautious this fire season as you enjoy the great outdoors in the state of Arizona. I want to give a special thanks in advance for the excellent work of Arizona's first responders and firefighters. I want to thank all of you for the sacrifices you make, the hard work that you do, and we are well aware of the dangers that you face with the sacrifice of the Yarnell 19 still fresh in our mind. The thoughts, prayers, and support of all Arizona are with our brave men and women as they fight these fires on the front lines. In closing, I want to again say thank you to the people that fight these fires and make the sacrifices. I want to hand it over to someone that I count myself very fortunate that we have leading fire prevention in our state, and that's Director Jeff Whitney, and he's going to provide you more details on this upcoming fire season. Director Whitney.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, and thank you, Governor, for your support and for your recognition for all of our first responders. It's a large task. I am privileged to be the director for the Department of Arizona's Forestry and Fire Management. We're responsible for approximately 30% of the state in terms of prevention and suppression of unwanted wildland fire. We also use fire as a management tool. We've got a number of natural resource programs, including urban and community forestry, insect and disease, forest management activities, working in conjunction with unincorporated landowners and the state land department on state trust lands. And we also cooperate quite strongly with our federal partners. We've got a number of national forest lands in Arizona, Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Tribal Ground. We have 22 recognized tribes in Arizona. We work well with them. We have strong relationships with our counties and with our fire departments. And if you look at the numbers, I've got a relatively small agency with just somewhere around 100 souls, but I actually have 2,700 responders by virtue of intergovernmental agreements with nearly 260, all of the fire departments in the state. We can't do it without a strong partnership. We all have a shared responsibility. I jokingly tell people from out of state that in Arizona, guns and hoses is about as strong a relationship as you're going to find anywhere. We work extremely well with our state partners, with the Department of Corrections, Department of Public Safety, the Arizona Department of Transportation, but also with the county sheriffs and with local police departments, fire chiefs, and fire districts. We, as the governor mentioned, we are concerned about this fire season. This fire briefing typically we do mid-April. This year we knew it was critical that we got the word out early so that people could take care of their property and work with their neighbors in their neighborhoods and their communities to do their part, and we'll give you every assurance that we'll do the very best that we can to hold up our end around jurisdictions, around incorporated communities. As I mentioned, our responsibility is on 30% of the state. It's all of the unincorporated, privately owned land and the 9.2 million acres of state trust land in Arizona. But with the intermingled nature of the land ownership pattern in Arizona, as well as topography and different fuel types, it's probably fire season somewhere in Arizona every day. 2 weekends ago, we had 3 large fires across the state at all elevations. And we had a number of people out, and it was early February. That is uncharacteristic. So we desperately want to get the word out, encourage people to do their part, to clean up around your yards, do what you can in your neighborhoods, have conversations, and please, when a fire surfaces, and it could be any time in the next month, all the way through next fall, you need to think about what you're going to do if you're asked to evacuate. What's going to be required for you to prevent that from, if you have to leave your home, what is it you can do to try to ensure that your property and your home is going to be the best shape it can be in to weather a potential fire front. And if you're asked to depart by the county sheriff, who in this state has the responsibility for evacuations, we encourage you to do so, but please be ready. And when you're asked to go, please go.
Normally, having been at these things, we talk about grasses that grow up in the spring. It seems to me, given how dry it is, we're not going to have the same problem with grasses and wildland fires. So what makes you think this is going to be a harsh season?
So, a superb question. The reality is that an awful lot of our finer fuels that provided so much of a challenge for us across all elevations in Arizona are primarily dependent on spring moisture, but even more so on our summer monsoons. Last year's summer monsoon season was very strong. We had a lot of rainfall, and then we had 120 days without any measurable precipitation anywhere in the state. So unfortunately, last year we burned twice as many acres of state protection as we had in 2016. But because of the monsoons, everything that burned regrew. And then we had 120 days with no moisture in the fall, and we're looking at an incredibly light winter to date. And the climatic outlook for the next 3 months is quite alarming. And so we basically have not only are we in a bad way, but everything that theoretically, at least in the grassland communities that burned last year, regrew. Now, chaparral is stressed. Ponderosa pine, our pinyon juniper lands, they're all stressed at this point because of the drought.
Usually on these things you say, well, it's the grasslands are my biggest concern, it's the chaparral, it's my biggest concern, it's the high country with the pine forest, it's the biggest concern. Is this ongoing drought now the whole state, or what's your biggest concern this coming year?
This year, every fuel bed at every elevation in the state is my biggest concern. This isn't even comparable to the kind of conditions prior to the Rodeo Chetasky fire in 2002, or the Cave Creek complex in 2005, or the Wallow fire in 2011. I am more concerned now, and I've been doing this since I got out of high school, and it was a couple of years ago. I've been doing this for 45 years, and this is got us all extremely concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Governor, you'll take us up.
Thanks, Director.